All right. I think we're good now. I believe we are good. If you can see me moving, if you can see my game doing the arrow blinking thing, then we're good. A little unexpected tech issue, but that's no big deal. Let's try that again. So, hello, friends and fellow gamers. I'm TempestMask1000, and if you might have heard my voice a little while ago, that's because I had just recently done Blaster Master Zero before Scorn, which Nerd Squared did a wonderful, wonderful Scorn run, and yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, here I am with my second and final game of the schedule, and this is going to be Azure Striker Gunvolt. This is a game that is also developed by Inti Creates, and actually happens to be their very first title released as a self-independent project. And so, with that in mind, they essentially took their experience of having developed the Mega Man Zero games in ZX and decided to do something with that. And so this was the result, originally released for 3DS in 2014. Now we happen to have 5 games, which includes 2 spin-offs, and then there are also 2 other spin-offs that serve as a couple of crossover titles. But yeah, this is a really good game, and I think a wonderful Mega Man-like that I highly encourage anyone to try if my run potentially gets your interest. With that said, the reason I am currently sitting on the launcher screen is because I'm going to try something a little different for once, just to assure that the potential IGT does not do any shenanigans on me. I'll explain why during the run. But with that in mind, I will, of course, let you all know when time begins. So let's jump to the actual title screen right now and get ready for this jam. All right, here we go. I'm going to start by erasing the save data from my previous run at Indie-thon, and we will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, strike. And with that, we are off. All right, so Azure Striker Gunvolt is, as I said, a spiritual successor to the Mega Man Zero and ZX franchise, and as such, you're going to see a bit of familiar movement and platforming action going on here. But what exactly makes this game different, you might be wondering? Well, as it would happen, this game... Oh, that's a little slow for my liking. That's not usually supposed to happen. Right. But yeah, as I was about to say, basically this game has it a little differently, where our main character is capable of using electricity powers, and how it all plays out is... Wow, that's a lot of lag. What the heck, game? Well, I think I know what's going on, and I'll be able to adjust that in just a second without having to interrupt the run. For now, let's just work along with it, and as it is, you're gonna see me try and shoot enemies with my dart gun, which is capable of tagging them, and then I can use what's called my flash field to then pump electricity into them. And what this does is, that's how damage is properly dealt in this game. And so what essentially happens is I'm going to use a combination of both the pins and the electricity, try and make my way from beginning to end within each level, because that's the most effective way to do it, because the pins do deal a little bit of damage, just not a lot, not too much, basically. So that right there is the first mini-boss, and that is called a Mantis Tank. And so how this is going to work is this first level is going to see me take care of 2 of them. And with that in mind, there's no proper boss fight yet, but once this level is cleared, we will get straight to that sort of action. So for now, you're seeing this little semicircular gauge right under my character, and that represents his EP, which is what powers up his electric power. It's quite literally EP, but yeah. So what I'm doing is something called Pervasion, which allows me to phase through enemies. This is important because in order to avoid damage and go fast without having to worry about them, well, yeah, I just simply do that. It's a very helpful technique. It'll just yeah, basically one of the big perks of the new game categories. And so with that, this first stage is done, and now we move on. Now, one thing you're going to notice with these games... Oh, by the way, I totally forgot to start skipping this. Let's try that again. Sorry. A little brain fart there, folks. Pay no mind to it. But yeah, that was the first level, and one thing I'm going to need to do is try and get through those results screens as fast as I can, because, of course, they waste time, and I don't quite like that. So, you know, it's speedrunner stuff. You try to gotta go fast, and results screens are no different. But now what you just saw me do was I spoke to Jewel. She's essentially our side character of the game. She is essentially a character that we saved within the first level. Of course, I had to skip the story beats in order to get a move on. But, yeah, overall, Jewel, by talking to her, is going to set up this manipulation, which... Wait a second. Nope! I died. Or did I? This is Anthem. And this is probably the one time you're going to see this throughout the run. If I happen to get another time, though, consider that very lucky. And there would really only be one instance that I would hope to have it. But really, in that case, I'm just going to try and avoid dying from there on out. So, Anthem is a bit of a Gunvolt staple, just like how there's Pervasion. But in the case of Anthem, how it works is you have a slight chance of getting revived by Lumen there, which is essentially a septimal astral projection Cyber Diva power that comes from Jewel. And whenever her song happens after we die, we get revived. And so that's exactly what we wanted, because here in Merrick's level, I did a little section skip by using my infinite air jump while in the Anthem state. There's another way to clear that without the need of Anthem, but it is a lot trickier because it requires a frame-perfect input at the end of a special attack, which I'll show you what my special attacks are all about soon enough. For now, what you're seeing me do is the infinite air hopping. I've got infinite Pervasion as well. Oop, I need that. I almost forgot. This is new game, good ending after all. I definitely needed that gem. And what else I can do is infinitely air dash. Trying to do the normal dash is probably a little more preferable because, unfortunately, air hopping and air dashing does sort of take away from any pre-existing dash movement, and, well, dashing is kind of fast, so, you know, you want to keep that momentum going, don't you know? So that right there was my Astrosphere. That's Gunvolt's most basic special move, and it's a pretty helpful attack. It grants him brief invincibility, and also racks in, well, quite a bit more damage than my flash field in itself. And so, here we go. We're moving on to the first of the Sumeragi Swordsman Adept bosses. This is Merrick. And one thing I always love to point out is that bosses in Gunvolt, Inti Creates usually throws in a bunch of themes into their very being, whether it be the names, the designs, actually both, really. And so, Merrick here, oh, the Sumeragi Swordsmen, the bosses of Gunvolt 1, they're themed after the 7 deadly sins, and I would like folks to take a potential guess as to what Merrick's 7 deadly sin is. Other than that, he's also based on a sort of animal theme, apparently a bear, which is a little hard to see at first, but I guess I can sort of see it. I mean, I suppose those are, what, bear ears on the top of the chair? Which, by the way, Merrick is a lazy gamer, and he prefers to attack folks using his mecha chair, while somewhat using his own superpowers to alter the spatial dimensions. And with that, he is a gone good gamer. GG, basically. I don't know, I tried to come up with that on the fly, and it shows. Alright, so that was the first of our Adept stages, and I'm actually going to try and do all this in a particular order. Now, the thing about Gunvolt is he does not gain any special abilities from the Adepts. Rather, in this case, he's going to get some guns. And what I just got was the Naga, which is actually what I'm going to try and use throughout the rest of the run. One of the big things about different guns in this game that does change in Gunvolt 2 is that here, not only do your firing properties potentially change, but also the amount of enemies you can tag, and the Naga can go up to 5. You'll notice those little circles under my health bar, and that actually represents the amount of tags I can do. And if they are lit up, that means an enemy is tagged. which I can tag enemies up to 3 times maximum. And in the case of the Cerberus gun, which is my default pistol, which I can also hold the fire button to do rapid firing like that, then yeah, there you go. That's basically it. I get up to 3 tags with it. But with Naga, which I just switched into, now I can do up to 5, but I can only still tag enemies up to 3 times for the maximum damage. Here's the Spider Tank mini-boss, and this is where mashing the firing button and using the flash field is going to be very key. This boss has up to 2 attack cycles. I want before it just decides to jump up to the ceiling, and I want to avoid that. There we go. Nice. That's basically a little litmus test for trying to get a good mash going. Now, of course, this game is not the most intensive on the hands, but it can still require a little bit of button pressing, if need be, for when the need is there, of course. Now, this is Viper's stage, and the reason I'm going to him next also has to do with the aforementioned order, which I'll get to that soon. But for now, I just want to focus on getting through this box puzzle, because we actually have some global cycles to deal with, and that's not good. So, hopefully I'm lucky. Okay, that was actually a good cycle right there. That was the one that mattered the most, because the black crates cannot be destroyed. They're indestructible. So I wanted to make sure I could at least reach the gap, but it's also possible, oh, that was not intended, to make it to the gap at the very least, or if I was very lucky enough, I could just skip the thing entirely. So I should probably explain mob rooms, because that's exactly what I was just in. But first, actually, instead, focus on completing this block puzzle right here, because the next gem that I need to collect is right there. And what I'm going to do is this. Voila! So, in case you're wondering why I did not take damage, in this game, you do not take crush damage at all. Inti is very generous, and instead has the game try to push you out of the way as far as possible. It might look like a glitch, but I assure you it's actually not. This is intended. This is what the engine is going to do as sort of a safety precaution. So, it's basically glitchless. Anyway, that essentially helps me take away a lot of the guesswork that would otherwise be needed in order to get the jewel and not have to worry about the explosive block puzzle. But now we're going against Viper, whose sin, Merrick's sin was sloth, his is wrath, and Viper is a very casually challenging boss, and for good reason. So I'm actually going to play it a little bit safe now that I'm in low health. Oh, that's not good. Okay. This could be rough. So, serious time is now in order. Ooh. Oh, that was close. All right, here comes his desperation move. So let's hope for the best. Yeah, that was basically frame walking, kind of like in a bullet hell game. If you're wondering how the heck a casual player is supposed to handle that, I'd love to answer your question, but alas, I cannot. Alright. Ooh, I just clutched this fight. That was pretty close. Last time I'm going into that with low health. But yeah, Viper's programming is very aggressive, and this was done intentionally by, get this, the series' main writer, Toshiaki Tai. Why? Because apparently he likes to make people suffer. And I say that in the kindest way possible, because I am told that he is, he's actually a very down-to-earth fella, so it'd be hard to tell at first. Alright, so now we're moving into Carrera's stage, and I should now mention the current stage order, because the first half is actually where it counts. So, what guns I receive are not determined by which adepts I visit. Rather, I get a new gun for every even number of stages I complete, which, yes, those also include the non-adept stages. For instance, the intro stage counted as one, so by the end of Carrera's stage, I will get another. But I won't necessarily have to worry about those, because while they... Ooh, that was... Oh god, that's never happened before. While they have their uses, they're non-essential. They are very much non-essential for the rest of the combat, except for one called the Orochi, but that I won't get until all of the adepts have been defeated. I'll also show off a gun that you do get at a very silly point in the game, but for now, anybody like magnets? Because that's the theme of this one. We had an underwater base with space-time portals. We have had a biochem plant with, fire and lava and all that stuff. And here we just have a data center with magnetism. So, yeah. We're actually going to start to see some magnets, though, coming up in the second section of the stage, where you're also going to notice that Inti Creates made a lot of their level gimmicks take into account Gunvolt's flash field, which is really nice, and it comes to show that they like to do their homework. They like to basically come up with stuff. It's not just for show, basically. When they have a game mechanic, chances are they are going to plan it out accordingly throughout the main experience in itself. And I like that in a developer, I really do. And so, yeah. But as I was about to mention with the order of stages, I do know for a fact that runners will want to consider Carrera as an adept to defeat within the first half, and for the reason of the mid-stage. There's going to be a boss in the next level after Carrera here, which the game will then try to take into consideration which adepts I've defeated up until now, and then that boss will have some of their powers, and him using Carrera's is what we would prefer to see. But for now, here's Carrera himself, and in the English localization of the language, he speaks an old Shakespearean, which is pretty charming if I do say so. Alright, so Carrera's going to use his magnetism powers to either keep himself propelled or propel himself toward me, or he's just going to try and ram me, or even just use magnetism to try and shut down my electrical powers in some cases. But how I'm going to handle his special move is kind of important. For now, I want to avoid the grabby hands, because if I get... Oh, well, yeah, that happens. I overheat, and if it wasn't obvious, I can't use my electrical powers or pervasion until my gauge fills back once I'm in overheat mode, which is also going to constantly happen with this special move, and then I'm going to do this. Like I said, Astrosphere provides some invincibility for GV, which is important because that move right there, the explosion, can deal enough damage to instant kill me. And so, it's a bit of a risky strat, but it's also a very useful one, and just takes advantage of the fact that my EP gauge does not affect my ability to use special moves. Rather, that's from the skill counter in the bottom left corner, or skill card gauge thingamajig. Alright, so far we're looking pretty good. Pretty decently on pace. And let's see how the rest of the run will go as we now head into Sinner's Row. So this next mission, we are supposed to be pursuing an adept by the name of Zonda. However, as I mentioned, the boss in question is going to have a bit of a surprise on us, where he will use the adepts that we've defeated so far, or I've defeated so far. He will use some of their powers. And so, Carrera's move is what we'll want to see, because while it is the most dangerous to get hit by, as that move called the Greed Snatcher, by the way, Carrera's sin is greed. The Greed Snatcher, if it hits me, will put me in a cooldown state that lasts for much longer and is absolutely an inconvenience in itself. But it also leaves Copen the most vulnerable. And so, whoa, that was close. Duh! But that was not close. Every unfortunate fall is a little bit of time loss, but we'll see how it all goes from here on out. So let's just leave that be. Luckily, I did hit a checkpoint, so it's not all that bad. But yeah, that can happen. But yeah, I was saying that Greed Snatcher leaves Copen the most vulnerable. And that's pretty important, as one would assume in a speedrun. But because we had to go through Merrick's level to just simply get that out of the way, Copen could also use the Lazy Laser, and that is what we do not want to see. Like, we want to see it as little as possible, or not even at all. And then the reason I went to Viper's stage second was that move is probably the quickest in terms of execution. By the way, we're going to say hi to Zonda, and then bye to Zonda. I just wanted to showcase what Zonda looked like for your viewing attention. Also, that's him speaking as I hit those little gate points, which are projected bits of his septimal power. So yeah. This world, this plot, it's basically like X-Men, where the human race has discovered the identity of, or rather the existence of people called adepts, which are individuals with these different powers based on this energy called Septima. And so Gunvolt here has the power of the Azure Striker, which allows him to control and generate unlimited electricity, or at least as much as his stamina will allow him to anyway. And so his power is actually pretty important. It holds a little contextual history to the first adept itself, but that's something you would probably find out by looking into the dialogue interactions if you ever feel like giving this game a casual shot. Other than that, something I didn't mention that you might have noticed, that was pretty clutch, was whenever Gunvolt is using the flash field in midair, it's allowing him to hover a little bit, which is very helpful. Very much so. Alright, so now I'm going to activate this checkpoint, and for the sake of safety, I'm going to initiate a retry, which, hey, funnily enough, my Blaster Master Zero run had a little bit of that going for it too, didn't it? So yeah, Gunvolt also has that as well. And that's perfectly fine. But here's Copen himself. He actually took care of Zonda. He's not on the enemy's side, but he's also his own faction, which he hates adepts. His father was sadly killed by one, and it left him with this burning hatred for adepts, and essentially wants to be a Judge Dredd or Daredevil sort of vigilante, if you will. Judge, jury, and executioner. But yeah, unfortunate that he decided to use Lazy Laser after the Greed Snatcher. And here we go again. I'm going to use Astrosphere just to try and push him out of that. In case you're wondering why you're hearing Lightning Sphere, by the way, whenever Gunvolt's voice actor is saying the move name, that's a little difference between localization. That's just something within this particular game, because the localization team did intend for the voice actors to speak the names of the moves as localized in the English script, but they kind of ran out of time to actually have the Japanese cast say those. So Gunvolt 2 did fix this, and that's how it is later on. But yeah, just a little fun fact for you all. Alright, we've defeated the mid-stage, and once you get to the mid-stage, you are not allowed to enter other adept stages until you beat it, so that's also kind of important, as it would. Alright, we are now entering a pharmaceutical laboratory, and the reason for this is that there is a drug being produced by this grotesque flower of sorts called Eidolon, which is a good medicine when used by people, but it's practically a drug, like an addictive drug when adepts use it, and the Sumeragi Foundation is essentially the villainous faction of Gunvolt here. And essentially, Gunvolt himself is a sort of freedom fighter. He's currently working as a freelance agent, but initially, when we were playing the intro stage, he was a part of the Quorum of Unrestricted Information, Law, and Liberty, or short for QUIL, before we left the organization to officially take care of Jewel and give her a place to stay. Alright, here we go. So here's Eidolon itself. I need to open up the bulb, and that usually happens with the strat that I do, but that's okay. So I target the flower to get it a level 3 tag. I do Astrosphere like that, and then the reason I did so is to allow the game to drop me below, so that once the door opens, I'll be able to get to it as quickly as possible. Pretty neat, huh? Alright, so now that I've destroyed the hexapile, that's what they are called, by the way, we are now moving on to the section where if you are a little bit scared of flies, feel free to look away, but it's not shown in the utmost full-on detail. Rather, they're just going to be these clouds, these black little speck clouds that could potentially show up through this portion, unless I'm fast enough and manage to avoid having them spawn. Now, the reason I need to conserve EP well is that my flash field is, as you might have noticed during the Eidolon fight and the earlier Section 1, is capable of zapping away the vine platforms, which is what I need to do in order to proceed onward. Alright, there we go. Funny how that didn't work the first time. And we're probably going to see bugs. Yep, there you go. The good news, though, is that I can zap them away with my flash field, because I'm practically a human bug zapper, don't you know? Alright, here is the second hexapile down, and now we are moving on to the Sumeragi swordsman representing gluttony, Stratos, the carnivorous insect king of sorts. By the way, Zonda's was also a swordsman, and is the sin of lust, for those that don't know. Alright, so I'm going to try and perform a bit of a desperation move, cut-in skip with this particular fight, but I'm going to need to do a little bit of focusing just to get some optimal damage on him. Okay. That was a bit of a mistake. So, I was trying to get a lot more damage on him through Astrosphere, but in the PC version, how to activate special moves is that you flick the right stick in whatever direction your special move is equipped. Alright, here we go. Oh, that could be good. I think we got it. Yes! Whoa, that was so good. I don't usually get that within the first fight against Stratos, but I am so glad that I nailed it here. Let's go. Now, it's not the worst thing if I don't get it. In fact, I would say I still lost a bit of time from him getting the jump on me and avoiding some damage when I could have finished this fight a little bit faster, but hey, I like showing that off. It's a good thing to get, it really is. And, of course, it saves a couple of seconds because we avoided the little cut-in of the super move itself. And that's always nice. Right, here we go. So now, we are entering the Utu Media Tower, where our mission is to shut off the broadcast that's being played over there. And this boss will be Jota, who will have the most RNG among the Sumeragi Adept bosses. And this is important because, well, if I want to have a faster fight against him, I'm going to hope for him to give me some good RNG patterns, all dependent on if the moves he does will leave him vulnerable enough for me to deal enough damage within a quick amount of time. Other than that, his stage in itself is very straightforward. We have these light ring launchers, and other than that, it's a very simple platforming romp, which very much rewards using your speed just right, you know? So, probably one of my favorite stages in terms of platforming within the game. But my favorite stage in the run has yet to come. Right now, though, we are going to do some vertical tower climbing. So far, I've been pretty good about jewel collecting, which the reason I'm getting those is for meeting one of the conditions to getting that true ending, or good ending, rather. Well, it is the true ending, but yeah, you know, same thing. I'll explain what it all means, though, once we get to that point. For now, just know that I do need to get all of them, and yes, there was one in the mid-stage, so that does total 7. Alright, this next one is going to be a tad bit tricky. Let's see how it goes. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I could have done that a little bit more tricky if I wanted to, but I don't think I wanted to go for it. Alright, incoming Jota. He is the Sin of Pride. And he's going to try and use these light lasers against me, while also hovering around. I will say, though, he's probably my favorite, one of my favorite bosses in terms of designs as an adept. Like, he's got a really cool moveset, and I know my good friend Mike Kenyon, friend of the Gunvolt community, very good friend of the Gunvolt community, has that same, it very much likes this boss as well. I do believe he mentioned that it reminds him of an orbital frame, which, if you're unfamiliar, that's the mech name, that's the type of mech seen in the amazing game series that is Zone of the Enders. And it is a fantastic game that I would highly recommend anyone tries. But anyway, here comes his special move, and I'm going to show you how a casual player would be able to do this damageless, if they wanted to avoid the move that way. There you go. So what I essentially did was try to push his dash attack back by pumping it with darts. And that's what you can also do with his flash stinger attack as well. But yeah, Jota's down, and that only leaves us with one last adept before we start to move on to the late game stages. And yeah, I'd say things are progressing quite smoothly. Now, a little fun fact about the PC version of this game is that this was the very first port of Gunvolt 1. For better, and I guess a little bit for worse. The nice thing about the PC version is that there are a couple of exclusive features within it, such as an actual speedrun mode, which is its own category, and allows you to go through the entire game, as well as the true final boss, without having to do what I'm doing. But it does also come with its own set of challenges, such as not being able to use Prevasion. And there's also the synthing system in this game, which is why there's that bonus game for collecting materials or claiming materials, as well as why there's a currency within this game. There are credits in this game, but I do not need to worry about that at all. And really, you don't have to worry about them, period, within this entire run. So, yeah, there you have it. But yeah, I totally forgot to split for Jota again, or rather, yeah. That's at least both runs that I forgot to split something. Oh well. No big deal. For the time, I'm just going to want to focus on getting through this stage because we got a bit of a darkness gimmick going on. And I have to turn on these colored lights in order to disable these lasers that prevent me from proceeding forward. And as you'll see within the second portion of the stage, it'll also come down to me starting to mix the colors as well. Now I just did a little nice trick there where I had the dart go through the screen transition as Gunvolt was moving into the next room, and the dart still persisted, so it hit the hexapile and allowed for a little preemptive targeting. I do believe that can save at least a little bit of time, but it's not the most important thing around. Anyway, I was trying to do a little fast trick, where by using the Naga's charge shot, I could then run and hit that electrical panel as soon as possible. But it's no big deal. It's a nice demonstration, though, that the Naga's charge shot, while it does not deal multiple layers of tagging, nor does it deal more damage, instead, it simply pierces through walls and can target enemies no problem. So, you know, it's not the charge shot is not the most effective, but it does have its practical purpose. Now, you're You probably have heard that little jingle quite a few times throughout this run so far, yeah? Well, it's no secret that this game has an EXP system going on, and whenever I level up, if Gunvolt reaches a certain level, he will unlock new special moves that he can equip before a mission begins. However, one added benefit of the leveling up is that I also get my HP back. I get a full heal, which is really nice. And it will especially come in handy for some seemingly more daunting stuff once we get into the later sections of the game. Assuming that I need the full heal anyway. Otherwise, I could very well play it safe for all I know. Right now, though, we are moving into the very infamous boss of this stage, so the Stratacombs lies home to Elise, which actually was that girl that we saw that we tried to help get the heck out of here, but unfortunately she was the bad guy all along. And has a split personality, which plays into this fight. So we have a aggressive Elise and a shy Elise. The shy Elise is tankier, meaning she can take more damage, while the other personality is more susceptible to losing health a lot faster. However, their gimmick is the ability to resurrect one another, and so if I don't take them down fast enough, that will happen. That's a little unfortunate. I was hoping to avoid that, but you know what? I decided to take a chance, and it did not pay off. So instead, let's try that again. Yeah, there we go. That was a very annoying attack, though, and I wanted to be very careful of that, because if I look in the direction of Elise within that gaze cone, I get petrified. That's basically a Medusa stare, and not only does that immobilize me until I mash out of there, but it also sends me into instant cooldown, which can easily kill anybody, and yeah, that's never fun. But yeah, we have collected all 7 jewels, and the requirements for proceeding to the true ending have been half completed. For now, we start the Nova stages, and it's at this point that the president of the Sumeragi group, Nova, has somehow brought the adepts that we just defeated back from the dead. And Merrick just kidnapped Jewel from our place, so now we gotta go try and save her. But first, we've got an upgraded Mantis. He's a different color, so you can tell he's a bit of a different model. And some of his attacks have some very silly properties, such as the missiles that shoot out electro balls when I destroy them, and the ability to... And then he also has the gunfire, which is followed by a mouth laser, and he can also hop around. There's that, too. Alright, that was the entire stage, though. It's practically the shortest late-game Gunvolt stage in the entire franchise, and it kind of shows. It's funny that way. But now, we're going on to what is my favorite stage of the entire run. Nova 2, or Eridu. Our next mission is to infiltrate the Sumeragi group orbital elevator, as Jewel is being taken there, and then being brought to Firmament, the orbital space station of the company. And so, we're basically going to try and get the heck up that elevator and show them what for. And so in this stage, we've got a bit of a Toadman gimmick going on, where you're currently noticing the rain against me, and just like in Mega Man 4, my jumps will be slowed down immensely, so I want to try and stay on the ground for this section as much as possible. But then, we're going to get to the second section, and that's where things really open up to air movement, and that will become much faster. Much, much faster. So, hang tight, folks. We're about to go hopping. But also, I'm going to have to fight 3 upgraded Mantises, just like the one that I earlier dispatched. So, I'm going to do the same thing where I try to have the weak point exposed and then time Astrosphere just right so that I can guarantee it'll go down and prevent the Mantis from having enough time to get back up. So here comes number 1. Alright, here we go. That's one down. 2 more to go. Now, preferably I would like to have a level up on standby for when I get into Nova 3. I'll explain that, though, once we start that. For now, I do want to give a shout out to Inti Creates for having made these Gunvolt games. This series is really a fun time, both for all sorts of players, casual, score attackers, and even speedrunners. Because the thing is, the game does keep track of your best score and time separately, so you are encouraged to venture out into a little bit of both if you so want to. It's really cool, like, how this game not only serves to try and tell a story, but also just cater to a couple different niches of gaming that some people just like. And that's why I very much gotta say that if you are starving for a Zero-like or ZX-like, please, please, please give this a try. As I mentioned earlier, the first game and second game, too, both came out for 3DS, but also eventually got a Switch port, PlayStation port, Xbox port, which came out last year, and then there's also the PC ports. Oh yeah, I did want to mention that with the PC version here, because that came out a year after the 3DS version in 2015, this used to run in 30 FPS, which is kind of funny, because this also had something that stood in for a touchscreen. This is the latest version of the game, though, so that's no longer a thing, and rather, it runs in a crisp 60 FPS, just like the console versions do. And yeah, everything is mostly alright. This version still has a few particular things that might hamper it. And it can be a little bit intensive on some computers, depending on what your specs might be. But let me tell you, by no means is this a bad way to play Gunvolt 1, especially considering that some of the stage layout actually differs between if you're playing on the original Gunvolt 1 release, or if you're doing the Striker Pack on Switch, PlayStation, or the Gunvolt 1 and 2 standalones of the Xbox version, yeah. Because apparently Xbox never got a Striker Pack for some reason, officially anyway. Anyhow, that was Merrick, and I just got a level up at the end of that fight. Which is a shame because the level is already over, so I did not need that full heal, but that's okay, I suppose. Anyhow, I'm just going to skip this dialogue. We're going to go through the bonus screen, and then it's going to be boss refight time, because that's basically what we started here with that little refight against Merrick, except with the additional ball pits, which, yeah, you saw me die to one during the mid-stage, and unfortunately, Anthem cannot save you from that. If you die by Death Pit, the game will respawn you to the last retry point. There's no Anthem saving you from that. That said, Gunvolt 3 became quite a bit more, as well as Gunvolt 3 and then the Luminous Avenger X games became a little more forgiving in a way. So there you have it. Anyway, here's Stratos again, and I now have the Orochi gun, which can make the desperation move skip a little bit easier. But first, let's take care of the fight. Starting with a little Astrosphere to really rack in the damage, which is what I was hoping to do at first with the initial fight. This move does take a little bit of time to start up, but other than that, it's practically harmless. Okay, there we go. Might fail this skip. Yeah, unfortunately so. You get to see the cut in here, but that's okay. I did get to demonstrate why the Orochi gun can be a little more helpful in performing the DM cut and skip, as you might have noticed that little drone doing a underspread fire, or in some cases an overspread fire, when I fired my first shot. So yeah, it also has 8 tags, by the way, so That's especially good for getting all those enemy taggings in there. I'm gonna stick to the Naga though for now, because it's still very reliable. And here we have Yota again. I should mention the worst RNG I could get out of him is during the second health bar, because you notice that bosses typically get these little invincibility frame periods after I remove a bar of health from them. And that's when they usually start to change up the fight a bit. Yota, though, has it where he can change the laser array attack when he sets the lasers apart, and instead of having them fire at once, they can fire one at a time. That's the move I want to avoid. Anyway, here's Phosphoratorium. Got the damageless approach nailed once again. And I can, once again, do the little mashing on the Flash Stinger to push him away. Alright, he's down, and all that's left is Viper. So, unfortunately, they saved the worst for last. Even though we're not quite out of the woods after I defeat him. See, the thing is, with this elevator boss rush, I have to defeat Stratos, Yota, and Viper in that order, and then the game will give me a checkpoint. So, yeah. Lord help me if I happen to die at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely take this fight a little bit carefully because of that, because, you know, again, he is the most aggressive boss within the game. Alright. So far, not too bad. That's not too good, though. I always dislike being in the red when it comes to that flashing HP warning signal. Alright, here comes Refulgence once again. Sunshine Nova in the Japanese script. Oh, nice. Level 3 tag. Okay, that could be bad. So, hopefully... Okay. Okay, I think I got him. That was close. Ah. And I just knew that level up was coming in. But like I said, we're not out of the woods just yet. We're out of the elevator, yes. But we still got some more refights to handle. And, well, we have Carrera and Elise left, so wouldn't you know it, we actually have to fight Elise again. By the way, I love the fact that her boss fight, oh yeah, her sin was envy, you know, by process of elimination. I love that her fight is a callback to Mega Man ZX Advent's Argoyle and Ugoyle with elements of the other, with the lightning boss, Rose Spark, from the same game. And I absolutely loved Argoyle and Ugoyle's fight, so it's a reference that I can absolutely appreciate coming from Inti Creates. But yeah, Orochi really helps out with this fight, for sure. Now, that resurrection from the third Elise that you're looking at right there was intended. I have to have that happen, and then defeat the both of them around the same time once more, and then the level progresses onward. The reason for that is, well, Copen's going to... Dang it. Kill the third one for us. That's unfortunate, getting a resurrection in that. Alright, I'm gonna take that very carefully. Or... Okay, maybe not. There we go. Okay. So, Copen actually took care of the third Elise, as his gun is capable of outright killing adepts. But now we gotta take care of him, and his hood is down too, so... Yeah. Same rules apply, except now he has all of the adept's powers, and a desperation move based on Zonda. And he too can use the Medusa. The Medusa beam, which thankfully I avoided. Alright, gotta avoid getting hit by the Greed Snatcher. Come on. Okay, Stratos is not too bad. Just about finished. There's Viper's move. And now, here comes Lust Doppler, or Doppler Desire. Alright, I'm going to position myself right here. Those phantom images of himself you want to destroy if you want to avoid taking damage, and that's the end of the level. Whew, okay. Probably the most run-killing level out of the way. We only have a few more stages to go. Now, normally in any percent, this would be the final stage coming right up, but I actually have to do it twice. I'll explain why that is after the first time we clear it, because right now we're going to come up to fighting Nova himself. So he's got Jewel captive. And the thing about Jewel is that her septimal power is the Muse, which Lumen, the Cyber Diva septimal projection, can sing songs that basically allow the Sumeragi group to detect adepts and make them easy picking for whatever nefarious experiments they intend to do for the name of science and then law and order and stuff like that. So, yeah. But it turns out that Lumen's power or the Muse's power, is also very potent and can really strengthen people up. And Nova's gonna try to use that for himself. And so his boss fight is gonna work where there's gonna be a force field, you're gonna see Lumen appear, and I have to disengage her, or disable her. And that requires zapping her with the flash field, which then leaves Nova vulnerable. Now the fun part about this fight is that he does not have iframes. So, when he loses a health bar, this will make him easy to tear through his health. He's also got a pretty cool boss theme, by the way. Alright, I'm gonna just try to focus here. Not much else to it. If you do try to hit the force shield without disabling Lumen first, there will be these annoying homing projectiles that come at you. Like that. Alright, I'm gonna try and zap him with Astrosphere. He's gonna use Mind Melder here. Oops. That was a bit of a mistake. Alright, cool. At least we got a level up right there. Which is good, because now I have to deal with his second phase. And in order to damage this fella, I have to hit both of those drones, zap them with the flash field, and then I can start targeting the core. But it's also susceptible to the Astrosphere as well, which is why I decided to use it, because unfortunately when the wind drone is causing a gust, I cannot do anything about that. The other drone temporarily disappears, so I figure I might as well get a little bit of damage in there while I can. That's a bit clumsy on my part, though. I'm gonna try and be a little careful here. Now, this special move is intended to appear scary, but all he's really gonna do is just try to pull a supernova down from the ceiling. Oh, he's gonna use this, huh? Yeah, he can choose. He normally likes to do that after the first health bar is gone, but he can choose to do it anytime, that attack. And core's done. Okay, so now we gotta go through the credits once, unfortunately. See, in Gunvolt 1, there is no instant credits skip, so I can at the very least hold the shoulder buttons and just fast forward through it that way. This is very important, though, because I do have to save my progress once these credits are done. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take a quick hydration break, save, and then we're back at it. Remember, friends, hydrate, don't dehydrate. Okay, that was the most important step, because I can sometimes mix up which is confirm and which is cancel in the PC version. So far, that's a pretty good-looking time, if I do say so. See, the thing is, with the PC and 3DS version, we actually rank it based on IGT, due to how closely related the two versions are to one another. Other platforms, though, are judged by... Whoops, that's the wrong item. I am not allowed to use that item. Other versions are judged through RTA. So, if you would like to pick up this game and not have to worry about IGT, then definitely consider the Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation versions. And in case you're wondering, yes, platforms do have separate leaderboards. Alright, so now to explain what exactly I just did for the setup process, excuse me. And that was, upon handing over the 7 jewels to Jewel, yeah, get it? Her name is Jewel, you give her jewels. The game, it's supposed to be funny. What's not funny is me getting the level up right now, though, but oh well. She gives you a necklace, and so I needed to equip that before going into this stage, as what that now means is I can no longer use Pervasion with it equipped, but the game requires me to have it on in order to then activate the true ending. This is very important. Oh, this is where I could have shown off the Vasuki gun, by the way. It's funny that the game gives you one last firearm for getting the bad ending of all things. And funnily enough, Gunvolt 2 does the same thing, so there you go. Alright, so now this could be where things go awry. So I'm definitely gonna play it seriously. Dang. Okay. Okay, this could be bad. Okay, so this could get weird. Because I now have to do this entire fight damageless. I am at the bare minimum of health. If I get lucky, should I get dinked? What could happen is I might get Anthem, and in that case I have all permission to let loose. But I am not going to want to chance that for all intents and purposes. If he uses that laser beam attack from both drones, that's what could do me in. Oh, I dodged that. That's incredible. Alright, unfortunately there's going to be one more gust. Alright, here we go again. Alright, here's hoping. Oh, that still counted. Oh, unfortunate. And no Anthem. That was close, though. That was so close. Well, you win some and then you lose some. Oh well. Okay. We're gonna try that again. Still plenty of time to accomplish this. Okay. Still no level up, but I have faith. So let's try this again. Alright, still trying to taunt me with the gust attack. Huh. Now, I will say that once we defeat Nova, there's still one level to go. And that's where we will fight the true final boss, before the run is officially over. Alright, here we go again. Yeah, that timing is a little bit hard to get down, so I'm not the most confident in trying to dodge that move, but looks like I managed just fine. That's what I should have done to avoid dying the first time. Of course, he's doing it again. Oh. Alright, that stage is officially over. And if we have done everything right, then after this bonus screen, we will move on to the final level of the game. So let's see it. Nice. All right, we are now moving on to the very final mission. And yeah, that must have been a hard stopper for some of you. But the good news is we are now going to have our Prevasion back and a full-on Anthem state. So now things have gotten a little more broken. I do want to say, though, Gunvolt can still die while in Anthem, and at that point, the game will bring you back to the nearest retry point. So, that can happen. Very much so. Oh yeah, here's Carrera, by the way. Why he decided to be late to the party, I have no official reasoning for. But because we can air hop, we can just chase him no problem. And, yeah. Alright. Just gotta take him down. Same strats as before. Alright, he's gonna use his Desperation move once again, but our recharge is gonna catch up to us much faster. Alright. Should work. Alright, all the Sumeragi Swordsman Reed fights are down, and all that's left is to take care of Asimov. So Asimov is Gunvolt's former boss at Quill, and it turns out that while he was trying to help us this whole time and stuff, he's also kind of delusional in that he wants a utopia where adepts alone exist and the non-adept human population dies out. And of course, Gunvolt does not want that, so in the bad ending, he shoots us with a bullet because he happens to have a scuffle with Copen off screen, stole his gun, and effectively killed us with it. But here, with the necklace equipped, the bullet gets stopped. Sadly, Jewel does die, but now using her Muse powers, she has become the Muse herself. So basically her and Lumen, which technically was an alternative portion of her personality, are now unified. And their power is one with us, which is what's fueling the Anthem state. Also, Asimov is an Azure Striker as well. If that wasn't obvious. So, in order to hurt him, we have to clash our flash field with his, and then we can start to tag him. But if any of those bullets hit me, then yeah, I am in that cooldown state. And of course I'm getting hit. Alright, I gotta be a little more careful here, because one more slip-up can spell my undoing. And by the way, time will be once Asimov's health runs out. So let's get ready. Here comes his desperation move, something that Gunvolt can also learn as his final special attack, Voltaic Chains. And yeah, I had to use my jump mashing in order to avoid that. Okay, this could be good. Get ready. Time! Ooh. And that, my friends, is New Game Good ending for Azure Striker Gunvolt 1. Ooh. And I think I can finally breathe now. Alright. Unfortunately, I do have to scroll through the credits one last time because IGT is still ticking. And so what I'm going to do here is save the game one final time, and then that'll be the final IGT. But first, these words. Strong. Very strong. Thank you, Lumen and Jewel. They're still a part of us, though, so in a way, they're still with us. Just not as it could have been. Okay. So, on my final time is 1 hour, 5 minutes, 22 seconds. Unfortunately, that's not a new PB. And yeah, despite the fact that the total time shows something much different from what RTA should be displaying, I don't know, that's just how we do things. At least with the PC version and 3DS version anyway. But that was still a decent enough run to be underestimate. And I'm always glad to show this game off. So thank you very much to Shots Fired for having me. I hope you all have been enjoying this marathon so far. It's pretty cool. I might submit something else to this when the next opportunity arises, but I would like to give a shout out to the Gunvolt speedrunning community, and you can join our Discord, which the link to that will be on any of the SRC Gunvolt leaderboards, particularly the main game series, as compared to the Mighty Gunvolt stuff. That has its own server. But yeah, definitely try these games out. They're very accessible nowadays within the different platforms you can get them on. And I gotta say, probably one of my favorite indie series and Mega Man-like indies to date. And I hope to see more in the near future, because I can only imagine there's potential for a Gunvolt 4. Or even an X3. Anyhow, as I sign off, if you'd like to follow me on Twitch, I am TempestMask1000 there, as I am also that on YouTube. And I have a Twitter, @It'sTempestSteve, where you can find any updates or things I post about myself, as well as streaming updates, because I do not have a static streaming schedule. I just try to play it one day at a time. And, yeah, not much else to be said, so without further ado, that's gonna be the last you're seeing me do the runs here, but be sure to give your support for all the other runners as well. And of course, thanks for having me. Until next time, friends and fellow gamers, ciao Michi.